Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. If it's your first time seeing me, my name is Nadisha. So I'm responding to a comment. TLB commented on my last video that titled Get Your Jars, right? And she in that video, if you haven't seen that video, watch that video. I think that message will bless you, right? But she mentioned, why did God told the widow to shut the door, right? So let me just give you a rundown. So in that video, I mentioned that I mentioned the story about the widow and the oil, right? And so this is coming from 2 Kings 4, right? So basically, the wife of a man died, right? And so she reached out to Elisha and she told Elisha that, hey, listen, my husband died. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no food, you know? And Elisha was like, what do you have? She's like, I have just a little bit of oil, right? So Elisha told her to get some jars from her neighbor's house, and anywhere she can get jars, go get jars, right? And then he said, shut the door, right? Shut the door behind you and your sons. So this was the question from the comment, right? She was like, why did God told her to shut the door? And I just thought, you know what? Let me respond to that comment and let's do a video about this, right? And what I believe truly is that the reason why Elisha, which he speaks on behalf of God, he was a prophet, right? He told her to shut the door is because, listen, while God is blessing you, people don't need to be involved in the blessing process, okay? People you don't need a whole cheering team while in the midst of the blessing, while the blessing is taking place, okay? I believe that if people saw what was happening, it would have created so much chatter, so much distraction. People would be just talking about it. People would just they would just go off, right? Because this was not ordinary. This was not an ordinary situation, right? So let me see what I wrote here. You know, too many distraction. You know, a lot of people are jealous and they're envious. We live in a terrible, jealous world and envious world. They could have been like, well, how come that happened for her and it didn't happen for me? Okay, lots of comparison, you know, and you know, it could be also like people are wondering like, wait a minute, how was she able to do this? Okay, because it's almost like magic, right? It may have come across as magic. So too many people, too many questions, and they could have been asking her a lot of questions that she doesn't even know how to answer, because she doesn't even know how it's even, she knows it's God, but she doesn't even know how it's working out that way, right? So yeah, so you need to understand that when God is in the midst of blessing you, people don't need to be involved. Okay, shut the door, okay? In this season, keep your mouth zip, okay? People don't need to know everything about what God is doing in your life, because unfortunately, like I said, you know, people get really jealous and they're envious. They're not mature. They don't know how to control their emotions. So zip it, shut the door behind you, shut in your real life right now, shut your mouth, shut the door, shut your windows, close the drapes. People don't need to know everything or every step. They don't need to know every step of the way, because they eventually would find out. First of all, she had her neighbor's jars, okay? They at some point they're gonna be like, so okay, where's our jars, or when are you giving that back to us, right? So they're gonna know. And then once the oil stopped flowing, Elisha told her, go sell the oil and pay off your debts, and then live off the rest, okay? So eventually people would see the oil, okay? And then maybe at that point they can start asking questions if they want to, okay? So I am telling you, like in the season, zip, okay? Let people see the result of the blessing. They don't need to be in the process, all right? Unfortunately, I mentioned before, people don't have the same heart as you, okay? So people don't need to know every step of what God is doing, so they don't have to speak against it, right? All right, so you need to understand, so this is how the process works. And this could almost like come across as like, what kind of magic is this? So you need to understand that. So think about it. If she had left her door open, right? So these are some jars. I got some jars, and you need to understand that this lady had a little bit of oil, and what was happening is she had a little bit of oil, and what was happening, she literally poured a little bit of oil in one of the jars, and then it filled to the brim. And Elijah told her to set the jar aside. Then she took a little bit of oil, and when she poured it in, it filled to the brim. And how many, did it say how many jars she filled up? It didn't say, but I'm gonna assume it was a lot. And then she poured a little, and then it filled up. First of all, what kind of witchcraft is this? No, real talk. You know, like, how does that work? How do you pour a little and then it fill? Like, what kind of sorcery? You know, people, exactly. So the things of God sometimes can look very witchery, right? Like, you're like, how does that work? Okay, how? Okay, when God touched somebody who's blind and then they now see. Okay, when God took little bitty loaves and little bitty fishes and he was able to feed a whole multitude. What is that? Okay, so the neighbors probably would be like, what? How did you do that? How is that even possible? Too much chatter, too much, okay, you know, too much chatter. So close the door behind you. Elisha told her to close the door behind her, and I think it was for the best, okay? But it's real talk. I'm like, okay, well, so that's the same God today, yesterday, today, and forever, okay? So the same God who was able to allow her to fill these jars up, just pour a little bit of oil and able to fill them up. I'm like, you know what? I need to go get my 2 coins. Because I'm like, Lord, and I have containers. I'll get me some containers, okay? Because if you can do it for the oil, you can do it for my 2 coins, okay? So I said it in that last video. Please go get your containers because we serve the same God, okay? You have changed. The people from back then till now have changed, okay? We were here different, we dress a little different and all of that, but God has not changed. He's the same God, and if he did that miracle for that lady, you best believe he can do it for you. He did it for the multitude of people, he can do it for you, okay? So get your 2 coins and let God multiply it, okay? All right. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.